What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another one of my creature design videos for this personal world building project I've been working on lately. What I want to start doing with this series now is narrow down my new creature designs to certain themes, or even more specifically have each video revolve around different locales within the world. So today's video here, I'm showing off some species that inhabit this region here on my world map that I'm calling the Fungal Marshes. Everything you see here name-wise isn't set in stone necessarily, so there's some generic placeholders just to get the idea across of what the biome is like. So let's talk about this first colossal creature that you're currently seeing me work on. I've been wanting to come up with some sort of sauropod that could inhabit this world, and I wanted it to be an animal that would hang out in swampy bogs and wetlands. My first idea was to combine some traits with a horse because I had this vision of like a nappy, mossy-like mane hanging down from its long neck. But then I started to think a little more out there, and I've always liked the idea of these bizarre, almost alien-like forests where instead of trees and plants all around, it's instead a fungal-rich biome. So it would have these giant mushrooms that act like trees, and all the shrubs are these wild-looking fungi. So then I made the decision to incorporate that theme into this creature design, and that's how we got to this point. It's a peaceful animal that serves a very important role in its ecosystem. Because of their massive size and long necks, they are able to graze on these invasive or even destructive fungi that grow on top of the mushroom cap canopies. So this allows the mushroom forest to continue to thrive and flourish. And also, as you can see, this beast has a lot of its own symbiotic fungi growing all over its body, so it's almost like an extension of the mycelium. It's all one interconnected biome, kind of like Pandora from the Avatar movies. Also, because they all have these mushrooms and such growing from their bodies, these creatures are also responsible for spreading new spores throughout the forest, which continues the growth and life cycle of the ecosystem. These dudes are pretty much the most important organism here in the fungal marshes. I really had a lot of fun coming up with this creature's concept. Just all the little details and fungi and just making it look like this really mystical and just overall bizarre animal. I wanted it to have this slight alien kind of feel. Not extraterrestrial, but just incredibly foreign looking. And I think it comes across pretty well here. But speaking of extraterrestrial, that actually played a factor in the color palette especially. One of my favorite alien movies is War of the Worlds, and a particular detail that I always thought was really cool from that movie was the whole red weed stuff that the aliens would produce that would like infect and take over the environment. So that kind of inspired the look I was going for with that gunk and hanging bits when I made it the sort of scarlet color that you'll see. I wanted its coloration to be synonymous with the dominant colors of the fungal marshes itself, so lots of earthy reds, oranges, and yellows. I have a feeling that this creature in particular might be one of the more popular designs that I've come up with so far here on the channel, so be sure to let me know in the comments down below what y'all think about this Fungosaurus. Also, since the total number of creatures I've come up with so far within this world has grown to a decent amount, I want to lay out some future plans here that I have in mind for this series. There are those of you who have been subscribed to the channel for a while and have heard me briefly mention this before already, but one of my long-term goals is to turn this whole thing into a book eventually. Basically like a compendium of the world, where I'll have all these different art pieces and rough sketches and lore and all that good stuff. It will focus on the creatures and races themselves, so like your typical bestiary, but eventually I want to do some environmental paintings and such to further expand and flesh out my vision here. With that being said, I haven't gone through all the research and stuff to publish a physical book yet, and honestly I don't want to do that until I have well over 100 different creatures designed. So I'm thinking what I can do in the meantime is like a downloadable ebook that's broken down into different volumes for now. That way I can produce some sort of product for the time being instead of waiting, years down the line once everything is completed. I'll probably have it be like, $5 to download or something like that, nothing crazy. So let me know what y'all think about that idea and if it's something you would be interested in as a way to support this whole project in the meantime. But anyways, here we have the completed bestiary entry for the Grand Mobembe. Its name was inspired by one of my favorite cryptids of all time, the Mokila Mbembe. Its scientific name is Amana titanus, which translates to fungal titan. Now let's get the narrator in here to read us its lore entry before moving on to the next concept.
The Grand Mobembe is a gargantuan creature that plays a vital role in the health of the fungal marshes it inhabits. These towering animals graze upon the deadly parasitic fungi atop the mushroom forest canopies, allowing them to flourish. These beasts are also responsible for spreading millions of spores throughout the marshes from the symbiotic fungi that grow upon their thick hides. Should the Grand Mobembe ever become an endangered species, the very survival of their ecosystem would be at stake.
Okay, so instead of just including the animals of the fungal marshes here in this video, I wanted to also design the sentient race that is from this particular region as well. And the obvious choice was to come up with some cool looking mushroom people. You'll see I end up sketching a few different body types and looks for these beings just because I wanted them to come in various shapes and sizes. I wanted to incorporate some of the fungal growth in a way to make it look like bits of clothing or armor in certain areas instead of just throwing boring ass clothes on them. So this race that I'm officially calling the Shroomids are a group of secluded beings that have a deep connection to the fungal marshes, much like the Grand Mobembes who they revere as sacred animals. The Shroomids are very spiritual beings, kind of shamanistic in a way, and since they are mushroom people, they obviously would have some mind-altering concoctions, let's say, if you catch my drift. They know how to whip up some magic mushroom potions that will send you out of orbit. Or maybe just some potions that will heal you or replenish your stamina if we want to go that generic route. Also, as you can see, these Shroomids don't have a mouth like your typical sentient races do, so you may be wondering if they are able to communicate with the other races of this world. Well, that answer is yes. I figured if we're going down that psychedelic mind-altering route with these dudes, it would only make sense for them to communicate telepathically. Plus, I just think it works well with the slight alien inspirations I have with this whole ecosystem. Like I mentioned earlier, they play an important role here in the fungal marshes, so I kind of envision them as like mushroom shepherds, basically. So that's why you see the main dude here has that shepherd-style crook in hand and the robed-like appearance. One of the main images I keep having pop in my head with these Shroomids in particular is what it would look like to come upon one of their mushroom villages and stop by some shop there where there's this potion seller vendor behind the counter with all these incenses and strange artifacts and herbs and such. So maybe I'll sketch up that whole scene I'm envisioning like it's from a video game screenshot or something, because I just think it would be a cool art piece to maybe include in my compendium. Also, just for some fun interaction, I want y'all to come up with some names for these 3 Shroomids we have here and what you think their individual personalities would be like. And for those of you who also like to draw, if you ever decide to do some fan art of these creatures and such that I design in these videos, post it up on Instagram or something and tag me in the image so I can see it. I'll be sure to link my IG in the description box down below for that. Over time, I just think it would be cool to make a montage of everyone's different art styles and takes on these concepts. And it would just be a cool way of getting the community here to all interact with one another and be a part of this whole world that I'm building. So here we have the completed piece for the Shroomid. Its scientific name is a combination of the root word pileus, which means mushroom cap, and sapien, which means human-like. So go ahead and take it from here, Mr. Narrator.
The Shroomids are a secluded race of highly spiritual beings who live in the exotic fungal marshes. They share a strong connection to their land and serve as shepherds to the mushroom-rich forests. They are known for being able to craft incredibly rare and powerful potions due to their vast knowledge of the magical fungi that surround them. The Shroomids share a particular bond with the Grand Mobembes, who they revere as sacred creatures.
Now, since I designed a large, peaceful creature and a native race to the fungal marshes, I felt it was only fitting to come up with some sort of predator to inhabit this region. So the first thing I did was Google what type of creatures eat mushrooms and other types of fungi, and the first animal that popped up happened to be a slug. and I thought that could be a very interesting and random creature to take inspiration from and create some sort of dangerous predator out of. At first I thought about combining aspects of like a bat or dragon, but then I moved on to the idea of making its body and behavior similar to that of a large canine. So these beasts are pack hunters and behave similarly to wolves. Their favorite prey just so happens to be the Shroomids, which I thought could be a cool food chain dynamic for the fungal marshes. I've created a lot of large predatory animals already, so having this slug dog here be a much smaller animal was a nice change up. Now with that being said, these beasts, which I'm calling Bog Hunters, may not be towering monstrosities, but they are around the size of like a Siberian tiger. So combine that with the pack hunting capabilities of a wolf and you got yourself a fearsome creature. And I wanted to make it kind of ugly and disturbing to look at, which was pretty easy when you're using a slimy slug as your main inspiration. For those of you who are familiar with Monster Hunter, this bog hunter here might remind you of Kedzu, which is an equally creepy looking beast. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the color palette, so I just looked for the oddest colored slugs I could find, and there was this one in particular that was this mucus looking yellow-green, and it had these red splotches on its head, and I felt that would be a perfect coloration to help it blend in with the environment, similar to the previous two designs here in this video. Even though I tried to make this creature here rather unpleasant to look at, I'm sure there will be some of you here watching the video that will look past its appearance and want to own it as a pet. Hell, there might even be one of you who wonders what it would taste like and if you can make soup out of it. And honestly, I wouldn't stop you. I'm sure the Shroomids wouldn't mind giving these bog hunters a taste of their own medicine. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the way this one turned out, just because it's such a strange concept, and I feel like it fits in perfectly with the alien-like biome of the fungal marshes. Let me know in the comments down below which of these three creature concepts I've shown you here today happen to be your favorite, and where do they rank overall in the roster so far. Like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure the Grand Mobembe will be a fan favorite, but you never know. Some people really like ugly dogs, so maybe this sluggo here will win over the hearts of the masses. And here we have the completed bestiary entry for the Bog Hunter. So let us call forth the narrator to read the lore entry before I wrap up this video.
These strange-looking beasts stalk the fungal marshes in small packs. Armed with razor-sharp teeth and powerful limbs, the ferocious bog hunters are one of the most dangerous predators in their ecosystem. Their favorite prey species is the native peoples of the marshlands, the Shroomids, but they have been known to take down much larger prey on occasion.
And that will be it for today's world building episode. Do me a solid if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like the content I'm making and want to see more of it. As always, I'll be posting all these creature concepts and tons of other art onto my Instagram profile, which I will include a link to in the description box down below. Also, if you're ever interested in art commissions, shoot me a message over there on Instagram as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.